Welcome to October Scaries, where I'm watching 13 horror movies that I've never seen before and reviewing them. In this video, we're going to talk about Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body came out in 2009, and I missed out on it on purpose. First of all, I wasn't really going to the movies back then, like at all. I think I first went to the movies when I was 19, which I was in 2009 or 20. Anyways, the trailer wasn't interesting. I don't remember the trailer, but I remember not being interested in it. So Jennifer's Body is about Jennifer Check, in part Jennifer Check. So this band, Low Shoulder, they make a deal with the devil. In order to be successful, they need to sacrifice a virgin, which I think is very appropriate as a concept, as an idea, considering teenage girls power boy bands. These guys weren't pop, they were like an indie band, but all the same, they need to sacrifice a virgin. They decide that that girl is Jennifer. I don't know why. They decide that she is the perfect victim, and so they make the attempt. They do it, but turns out she was not a virgin, and so she lives to get her revenge. So this movie is now a cult classic. When it came out, it was panned by critics and by the public. And having watched it, I see why it didn't do well. So in preparing this review, I wanted to find out like what exactly was the problem. So I found an article written by Louis Pietzman. He wrote it in 2018 for BuzzFeed News. It's called "You Probably Owe Jennifer's Body an Apology." And he is interviewing the director, who is Karen Kusama, and the writer of the movie, who is Diablo Cody, who also wrote Juno. Never watched that. But all right, so Jennifer's Body has been revived and elevated into a cult classic. It has been recognized as a feminist movie, which is what Cody and Karen were going for. They wrote the movie for girls. They say that in the interview, but the thing is that the studio got a hold of it and they're like, this is for teenage boys. Megan Fox is in it. We're going to market this to teenage boys. They were seen as the audience for horror movies, and the women were like, no, but there was nothing they could do. The movie came out. What was in it is not what the way it was marketed, and so it flopped. So like I said, it stars Megan Fox, it stars Amanda Seyfried, it stars Johnny Simmons, right? Johnny Simmons, and it stars others like Adam Brody, Kyle Gallner, and Chris Pratt made an appearance, which was unexpected. This movie took me back. It's very dated, like the way they talk, some of the stuff that's in here, like someone, Jennifer calls someone a sped. I had to look that up. It's special education. Just the way they talk, the use of the R word. I'm like, yeah, this is very early 2000s. It's dated and looks a bit outdated, but there was something very nostalgic about it as well. The way they dressed, all that. Okay, so I did enjoy Jennifer's Body. I disagree that this movie is feminist, recognizing that I am not the target audience. The teenage boys were not the target audience, the teenage girls were. I'm gonna say the white is silent because the feminism that the writer and director are identified in that article, even though the director herself is Asian, she's half Asian, it's giving white feminists, in my opinion. So the big thing about the article is that, like, Jennifer's Body got a revival because of the Me Too movement. People were looking at it with different eyes, through a different lens. The director does have a very good quote in the article where she says, the movie hasn't changed. It was always like criticizing the patriarchy and talking about teen girls living the patriarchy. The movie hasn't changed, but the audience's like thought process has, which I like, which is a good point. So here's the thing before I get into spoilers, okay? Some quotes from the director. She says, "From the outset, I always felt like this is a horror movie about toxic friendship between girls. And on a larger scale, it's about how these alliances between girls get distorted and corrupted by the patriarchy. It was essential to both the director and the screenwriter that the film has a specifically female perspective. I think the fact that we were a female creative team gave us permission to make observations about some of the more toxic aspects of female friendship." Karen says, the director, Kusama, says, part of the problem of an imbalanced power structure like a patriarchy is that women participate in it, and so it's important to have that conversation of women participating in the patriarchy. She has this thing where she believes that the movie is about girls becoming monstrous in the face of the patriarchy. Yeah. So, girls becoming monstrous in the face of the patriarchy, the toxic part of female friendships. Let's get into the movie, because to me, this is a case of like, we are critiquing the thing, but we're also doing the thing. I don't find anything subversive about Jennifer at all. She is an idiot. She loves pink. She is dumb. She is the whore of the Madonna whore situation. They used it. They didn't subvert it in any way. She is the whore. Needy, played by Amanda Seyfried, is the Madonna. Needy is the good girl. Jennifer is the one who's sexually promiscuous, has even, now we're into the spoilers, has even done it in the butt. Like, and that's why I made a little crack, like those guys, like, taking her and deciding she's the virginal one. I'm like, since we're being stereotypical, what about her gave off virginal? Not only that, but okay, so Low Shoulder tries to sacrifice her. They fail, and she gets possessed by a demon. Is the demon female? I bet you it's not. I bet you it's a male demon. And to me, what they think is feminist about this is that she goes around killing a bunch of boys. Killing men is not feminist. It's not feminist. And she didn't even like go after the ones who did this to her. She went after boys that she acted interested in. And so as far as the boys knew, it was consensual, and they got punished for that, for expressing interest, for returning the interest that she was expressing in them. So yeah, I'm not feeling the feminist message. I think it's very shallow, but typical like white feminists. There's no depth to it whatsoever. You wrote a whore and the Madonna whore thing. There's nothing subversive about Jennifer, not even in the fact that she kills men, boys, because she has to seduce them first. What is subversive about that? Now, what I did enjoy about the movie is the lesbian aspect of it, because they absolutely intended for Needy to be in love with Jennifer, which came through. I really wish that Jennifer, like, yes, she kissed Needy, but Jennifer is sexual. She also makes fun of Needy the whole time. She bullies the girl. The last time she seemingly had like a sincere interaction with Needy was when they were kids. I also wasn't feeling that, as far as like, these two are supposed to be in love with each other and feeling each other. But I did love the subtle, not so subtle hints, shout outs, whatever, that I just love the lesbian undertone of the movie. I love that. I think every time, or almost every time, Needy was having sex with her boyfriend, she actually was connected to Jennifer and feeling her. I really loved that. I also loved the line that Jennifer had where she said, I woke up, I didn't know where I was, like, I just knew I had to find my way to you. I thought that was very romantic. Something about Needy, because her boyfriend also said the same thing about I think I was dead before you even came, but like I heard your voice, and I held on a bit longer. But Needy was the good girl. Like I said, she was the Madonna. She was the one doing everything right. She had the boyfriend. She was soft-spoken. She was not, she wore glasses. I think it's just unfortunate and a bit ironic for them to be like, this is a serious movie. Like, this is a movie that has important things to say. And yet, they did lean on some very tropey portrayals for both Jennifer and Needy in this movie. Down to the fact that, like, Jennifer died. Like, she had to be put down. She was put down by Needy. I did also like the way that played out, where, like, she snatched the necklace. I think that, more than anything, is what killed her. Needy rejecting her and deciding that they were no longer friends. Special friends, but they were no longer friends, was Jennifer's undoing. She scratched Needy, and so Needy ended up, becoming monstrous herself, and she went and got revenge for her bestie and did away, murked Low Shoulder. Jennifer also went after Needy's boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I think at that point she just needed to feed, but still, the optics. I feel like they were talking out of both sides of their mouth. There's what they wanted to, and that's what I mean. Like, there's nothing feminist about this movie beyond she's killing boys. Because the way they chose to characterize her, trying to take advantage of everything that was Megan Fox at the time in terms of how she was viewed by the public, and then were pissed that the studio co-opted the story they wanted to tell in terms of how they chose to market it. It was kind of served to them on a silver platter. But yeah, I'm more interested in the lesbian aspect of the storyline. I think that was great. The feminist aspect, I think, is very weak, and is very two-dimensional. Not even one-on-one. It's just girl kills guys. Female empowerment. I hate that type of like flat ass interpretation of what a strong female character is. But white female characters like fall victim to that so frequently. And those are my thoughts. I think Jennifer's Body is pretty average. It's a 3 out of 5, bordering on a 2.5, honestly. But it was enjoyable to watch. If you have seen Jennifer's Body, let me know what you think. All these years later, or if it's your first time, let me know what you think.